In today's highlighted story of the day, it's an update to a video we had on the channel just a couple days ago. It was about the Asian family who disowned their daughter because she wanted to further advance in her career. Well guys, I have a complete update. But first, we're gonna check out a story about a Zoom call that goes sideways. I'm a 27-year-old male. Older sister's 30 female and her fiance's 31. We're planning for over a year for their wedding to be this month. Obviously, they can't have the wedding as planned. But they still would like to get married, so they decided on a Zoom wedding, where all the family and friends would just call in and watch the officiant, my sister and her fiancé. My sister did not want to be in charge of hosting the Zoom call because she thought it would stress her out, so she asked me to, and I gladly accepted. She and her fiancé decided to invite everyone they originally wanted to, and it was a very big list. When we were going over the list, my sister mentioned to me that she wanted everyone else to be muted for the majority of the wedding, as she was worried that others would talk over her and her fiancé and, quote, overshadow them on their big day, and, quote, that was already scaled down. However, her and her fiancé said that I should unmute everyone at one point, so everyone could talk and have a nice time with each other. Fast forward to the day of the wedding. Everyone's muted during the ceremony, which does go great. And so, I then unmute everyone and ask to please raise a hand if they'd like to talk so it doesn't get confusing. My cousin, around my age, starts waving his hand crazily. He's with his longtime girlfriend, also similar age. He's a very gregarious guy, so I was not surprised. Then he says stuff like, quote, my sister and her husband are such an inspiration. It's given me the courage to do this. Then turns to his girlfriend, pulls out a box that's the size of an engagement ring. I immediately saw this in him try to steal the spotlight. Something he's done since we were kids. Example, he would secretly mess up my sister and I's drawing if the adults would praise us, and booted him off the call. Then I quickly announced that my cousin had technical difficulties and would not be joining again. Everyone else accepted this and went about talking, and my sister and her husband did too. The rest of the wedding went smoothly except for the fact that my cousin kept texting me angrily, saying that he finally wanted to propose as a surprise with family all around, and I ruined it. My aunt and uncle texted me the same. Am I the a-hole? Okay, I'm going to say not the a-hole. I don't think what he did was bad. In fact, kicking out your cousin before they ruining said marriage in the middle of a Zoom call seems like the right call to me. Let me know how you guys would have handled this situation, if you would have done it any differently, if you would have done it the same. Drop your comments down below. Coming up next, though, is our highlighted story, which is an update to a previous story just a couple days ago, about an Asian family who disowned their daughter because she wants to further her education. Okay, without any further ado, let's jump right into that. My family's dragging my name through the mud after my father begged to work from me. For a long time, the situation was on my mind and was stressing me a lot. After giving it a lot of thought, I felt as if it would not be a right thing to have my father work at my company. I've not healed from the past, so seeing him at my office every day would hurt so much. I sent him an email saying that as much as I understood the situation, I can't help. I told him that since he said his precious son would be so successful, then he should be the one to take care of them. My ethics would not allow me to start hiring people just because they were family. I asked them to never contact me again. I was not part of their family after all. I did what was best for my sanity. It was rather silly of me to assume they would leave me alone. And the following events made me realize that I was right not to trust them. When I went into the office a few days after that, and my secretary told me that most of my clients had canceled their meetings for the day. I asked her what was wrong, and she reluctantly showed me a newspaper article. Whether I like it or not, I was now a public figure with a squeaky clean image that had just been tainted by my family's lies. For anyone in business, bad publicity because of your personal life is very bad. I had worked so hard to maintain my image. It was not easy for someone like me to survive a scandal. But now my family was feeding the press lies. They distorted everything that happened to make them seem like victims. According to them, I'd taken their money, flunked out of school, and ran away when I was younger. They attempted to reach out to me, but I cut them out of my life. Apparently, I owed them for the success I was having, and I was showing a bad example of Asian girls to the world. Now that my father was unemployed and my brother was having trouble finding work, I was refusing to help them out with jobs or for money. They were pretty much whining about me and twisting everything I said. By the middle of the day, it was all over social media, and I was being painted as someone heartless. They said that I was selfish and greedy, letting my family starve while I relaxed in my mansion. It didn't look good for me. People were so easy to jump to conclusions about what's going on. They did not even know the full story or the truth. Yet, they wanted to make judgments about my life. Most of my clients were close to dropping me, but I reassured them it was a fake story. I kept on getting called by journalists to make a statement about what's going on. I refused to make any comments. I was very angry and afraid of what I would say to the media. I had a mental breakdown just at the mere thought of losing everything because of the people who did not want me to succeed in the first place. I got calls from family members I've not spoken to in ages, calling me a disappointment. Family's very important in my culture, and it's so ill-advised to not forgive elders. But then, is respect not a two-way street? They'd show me no mercy. Why did I have to do them favors? It was funny how the tables have turned now that I have cash. But I'd worked hard to get where I was, and I did not owe them anything. My longtime friend Tracy, who had helped me when I was down and out, came through for me once more. She had a friend who was in PR that could help me get out of the mess I was in. One of the most important meetings for the business was in a few weeks, and now my board was questioning whether I was fit to run the company or if I had to take some personal time off to fix my family drama. Anyways, the lady said that the only way I could fight back would be to release a statement, and also have proof of why my family was not a credible source. As much as I hated airing my dirty laundry in public, I figured it would be best to clear up the misunderstandings. I also decided to dig into my family. Maybe I would be able to find something that would help me get rid of them. Well, while the press conference went well, it only made them much more desperate for attention. But now, they did not seem like reliable sources. I did something I did not want and let the press know everything about my past, as well as how I've been kicked out at 17. Usually, I just gave a vague story about making it on my own without family, and sure enough, the truth worked in my favor, meaning that people were starting to question if my family was even telling the truth. All along, I had not seen my mother and my brother, but that changed. After the press conference, they started to harass me, trying to make me feel guilty about, quote, abandoning them. And then, to make matters worse, they showed up at my office uninvited. I'd already briefed my security about them, but someone slipped up, letting them in. I just regained my client's trust and was in a very important meeting that was going to allow my company to expand. That was when my PA called me. I only saw the call because it was right next to the documents I was looking through. My phone was on silent in a meeting, of course, and that's when I started to hear a loud shouting and screaming. I excused myself to make my way to the reception where I found my family, acting crazy. They were insulting my employees and demanding to see me. And when I appeared, my mother slapped me. I got very angry and told them to leave or I was going to call the police. I texted my PA to do something to keep important clients from seeing the drama. My brother called me a spoiled brat. He claimed that I have abandoned my family, and he stayed. I asked him what use he was when he was clearly drinking his life away. I felt sorry for the child who had a father like this. I did not know why my parents were not doing anything about his drinking. My father had never tolerated drinking. The one time he caught me, I got a beating. But I guess it was because it's his golden child after all. Sometimes I felt the way that they spoiled him was the reason he had a messed up life. And then my mother said the worst thing she could ever say. She said that at least he had a child and was not unmarried and childless like me. By then, a few of my employees were gathering around to see what's going on. I was so upset, and they were just acting like children, so I would treat them like that. I gave my receptionist the signal to call for security. The people who used to be my family decided to start trashing the waiting room. When the security arrived, they handled them in a very rough manner. I did not stop them. Maybe that would knock some sense into them. So then, that's the gist of it, then they left. But not before they were rogued out a bit. It was not in my control, it was the security team's job to use brute force if intruders were not cooperating. So they did rough them up a bit, which I found out about later on when my dad sent me pictures. He told me that if I did not give them something, they would have to go press charges and put the pictures of their bruises. So, I called my lawyer as I should have done in the beginning. I also got feedback on the investigation that's been done on the family. Well, it turned out that my father had gotten a very large sum when he got retrenched, but he had gambled most of it away. So, my gut had been right not to help him out in the beginning. He was probably looking to settle his gambling debts. Either way, I did not care what he would do if I gave him the money. What I needed was for them to get out of my life and leave me in peace. I told them I wanted to meet them, to discuss a way forward in a few days. In the meantime, I had my lawyer draft the contract. There were 2 reasons why I gave them money. The first was that they've been roughed up on my security, which was justified because they've been resisting removal from the company property. But I could not afford any more bad publicity, even if I could prove it later. Secondly, they were vultures willing to take any scraps. I wanted to give them what they wanted so that they could crawl back when they came from. It was all taking a strain on me mentally, and I hoped that paying them off would be the best way forward. I did not want to lose everything that I've worked hard for. I made sure the lawyer drafted a contract that was in my favor, one that would prevent them from ever speaking my name or being in the same room as me ever again. Once it was drafted, we met up with them to sign the contract. My brother being the smarty pants reading through the contract. You should have seen how his eyes lit up when he saw how much I was giving them. I was willing to pay them $100,000. Provided that they never tell the press about how my security guards treated them, or talked about me ever on the media. There was a long list of things that they could not do. I was not going to take any chances, and then, my brother said that there was one clause he did not agree with. I knew which one it was before he answered. I asked my father which casinos he frequented with his payout from his previous job. Then, for the first time in my life, my dad took my side. Even though he had to and told my brother that he had to agree or they would not give him the share of the money. He had to go to rehab after they moved out of town. The only reason I did that was because of his child. If he kept on going the way he was, that child would be the first one to suffer. I knew firsthand what it was like to suffer because of family, and just like that, they signed the papers, took the money, and were never heard from again. Either way, I crashed after that ordeal. I was too tired and stressed to do my job properly. So then, I took a break for the first time since I was 17. I decided to book myself for therapy. I put someone I trust in charge of the meantime. The therapy is helping me to forgive them, for my sake, not theirs. Thank you guys who offered me advice on my last post. Even though I lost some money, at least now I gained some peace. Okay, guys, that might be one of the craziest family ordeals we've read. That update was insane. The fact that OP had to deal with all this, her family dragging her name through social media, the news, and even showing up at her work and trashing the lobby, I just could not believe everything OP had to endure. Guys, let me know exactly what you think of this update, and if you would have done anything differently if you were OP. I know she had to give them $100,000, but honestly, that might have been the best $100K she's ever spent. We still have one more story left for today, and the title is, Am I the a-hole for telling my friend her parents bought her house? Not her. Hope you guys are enjoying. Let's get right into it. Some backstory. I'm a 28-year-old female and my friend's 28 female, who purchased a house late last year. It's an awesome 2-story townhouse, and I've been over there plenty of times to help with moving, decorating, or just hanging out. As mentioned in the title, her parents purchased the house for her and her partner. I truly have no issue with this as the housing market's terrible for buyers, so more power to them for being homeowners. I recently, unfortunately, inherited my parents' house, which is 3 bedrooms out in the sticks. The issue. We went appliance shopping because most of the stuff in the house was 15 years old. We were standing with an employee who I had asked to recommended some small items like toasters and kettles when the employee asked if I was moving out as general chit-chat. I told him yes, I was moving, and he asked whether I bought or rented. I told him bought because it's just easier and less awkward than telling I inherited the house. He told me that's cool and began talking about the toasters again, when my friend cut in that I inherited my house, not purchased it. The employee went quiet and I gave her, what was that face? I was taken aback and she continued on saying, Yeah, I purchased my house. I asked her, does it really matter? I'm here to buy some kitchen appliances, not tell this guy my personal issues. She grinned and said, It's just for the record, which made me more confused and annoyed. You can probably see where this is going. I replied, Oh, okay, but then it's just for the record. Your parents bought your house for you. The employee quickly retreated and she walked outside of the shop. I caught up with her and she said I was a massive a-hole for pointing out she could not afford her own without her parents' help. I returned with a very similar, my parents also helped me with getting a house too, just in a really terrible way. My partner agrees with me, saying that she's the one that opened that door, but our other friends are split almost 50-50. I think not the a-hole. This one's pretty easy to me. I don't think she gets to be catty with OP and then look down on her. And OP can't rebuttal or say something back? No, I say not the a-hole. Guys, what do you think of this situation? I don't even know why this was brought up in the first place. It's so silly to be talking about stuff like that when they're out buying toaster ovens. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.